So today's lecture is about the internal features of the medulla oblongata. As external features have been already been discussed, and now we are going to discuss about the internal structures. So when we talk about the internal structures, they are basically divided into three portions. Level First one is the level of decussation of pyramids. Second one is at the middle lemniscus, and third is at the level of the olives. So starting with the first level, that is the level of decussation of the pyramids. If we take a cross section at the pyramids where the pyramid decussate, so what structures we can get out there? So start with the first one. We can see is that here we have the nucleus gracilis, and at the top we have the fasciculus gracilis right here. So we can mention it as fasciculus gracilis. Another nucleus, here we have the nucleus cutaneus, right down, right? So we can write it as a nucleus cuneatus. Right, so on the posterior side we can get, this is the posterior side, right, and below we have the interior side. On the posterior side we can get the two nucleus. First one is the nucleus gracilis, other is the nucleus cuneatus, and the other feature we found it here is the, right, we should write it here like this. I don't have a place here, so I can write here is as a fasciculus cuneatus. Fasciculus cuneatus. So after that we have another structure. Like in spinal cord, we have the posterior horn. So when we move up towards the medulla oblongata, that posterior horn can be converted into the spinal nucleus and spinal tract of trigeminal nerve. So we can mark it here like this, and this, right? So we can call it as spinal nucleus. This is a spinal nucleus, and this is a spinal tract of the trigeminal nerve, right? So we can say spinal nucleus and spinal tract of trigeminal nerve, right? You can simply write it here like this. So the posterior horn is converted into spinal nucleus and spinal tract of trigeminal nerve. If on the interior side, like this is your posterior side, I should mention it here like this, is the posterior side, and down here we have the interior side, right? So on the interior side, we can see the pyramids, right? And what happened? Then fibers, right? The pyramid contain the fibers like corticospinal fibers, and they cross to the opposite side and they form the tract which is known as the lateral corticospinal tract, right? You can write it here as a lateral corticospinal tract, right? So these pyramids contain a fibers and they decussate to the opposite side and they form a tract. We can call it as lateral corticospinal tract. And here in the middle we have the central canal. What? So we can call them as the decussation of pyramids, right? Let me write it here. That these are the decussation of pyramid. So what other features I can get here is that these three tracks, right? Starting from here, this is the posterior spinocerebellar tract. Posterior spinocerebellar tract. Right? And other two tracks, let me mention here, is that the yellow colored here is the interior spinocerebellar tract, right? One is posterior and the other is the anterior spinocerebellar tract. And the one in the middle is called as the lateral spinothalamic tract. Is the lateral spinothalamic tract. So these three tracks we can see at the level of decussation of the pyramids, and we can see this track as well on the other levels as well, right? So these were all the features we can get at the level of decussation of pyramids. And one more thing which I forgot here is that after the decussation, like after the pyramidal decussation, right, the ventral horn, right, after the pyramidal decussation, this ventral horn in the spinal cord can be converted it into the spinal nucleus of accessory nerve. So let me mention, I can mention it here, right, right out there. I can write as the spinal nucleus of an accessory nerve. Spinal nucleus of accessory nerve. So these were all the features we can find out in the level of the decussation of the pyramids.